Welcome back to another episode of the Shut Up No One Cares Get Back to Work podcast / daily show. I might have to change the name because this is pretty much a daily show at this point. And you can find this on YouTube if you're listening to it on audio. And if you're listening to it on YouTube or on video, you can find it on iTunes, Apple, or Spotify once they go live. I'm your host, Colin Stuckert, founder of Wild Foods and the Ancestral Mind. I'm obsessed with being the best version I can, and I want to help you do the same. This show's all about evergreen first principles. So without further ado, let's get right into this big idea, the big concept, get through the daily 6, and I'm going to let you go. I'm going to try to aim for 5 to 7 minutes today. That's why I'm talking fast. All right, today's big idea is extreme ownership. I was dealing with something with work right before I wrote this as part of my morning work routine, which I don't usually do, but something came up, so I dealt with it. And it just still never ceases to amaze me, the amount of effort I have to put into doing other people's job for them or reminding them or poking them or prodding them or whatever. And then I started thinking about it. I thought other people, they have their own priority. They have their own prerogatives. And a lot of times they don't really care about yours. And that's just the reality of life. So if I want something done and I want it done in a timely manner on my schedule, the way I want it done, I'm going to have to do it myself. And when I have to do it myself, if that means using other people, or if other people are part of that process, then I have to make sure it's my responsibility that I manage them and remind them and then ask them to make sure that it gets done. And most people don't do this when they get into business, or if they're, working in an organization, they don't really get that fire under their ass where they want to get things done fast. Most people just aren't like that. Most people default to what's slow and easy and just not too cumbersome. And as an entrepreneur, I don't think like that at all. In fact, I believe time is money, and I want to invest as much as possible, and I don't want to miss out on opportunity, and the world moves fast today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I have to do other people's job for them a lot of times. And what that means is I have to usually manage them / babysit them in some cases, and just make sure it gets done. And that's no fault on other people. Like, this is just the world we live in. If I want something done quickly or more quickly than what other people are going to get done, then I have to take it upon myself to make sure that happens, right? I have to take extreme ownership. And if you're going to build anything in life that involves other people, maybe you've put together an event, maybe you have coworkers, maybe you deal with incompetent vendors and suppliers, even customers. There's a lot of examples where when you take an extreme ownership perspective where it's all based on you, if you want something done your way, you have to make sure it gets done that way, and you should expect that anything that you don't pay attention to, that you don't take ownership on, is not going to be up to par. When you really truly accept this, it'll change your life. And this is also relationships, business partnerships, friendships, family. When you expect things from other people, and when you make it their responsibility to do things that you want them to do, well, you're neglecting this law of nature. You're not taking extreme ownership. You have to take it upon yourself to make sure that things get done the way you want, that you tell people, that you communicate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this concept applies to all of life. Take extreme ownership and don't complain, don't bitch. Just accept that it's par for the course. It's reality. It's the world we live in. And if you want things done a certain way, you're going to have to make sure they get done that way. A book to read on this topic is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Highly recommend reading that. This is something you can build your life around. It really is. So that's going to be it for the big idea. Let's get into the daily 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, it's a 6 now. Started out as the daily 5, now it's the daily 6. So the daily quote: extreme ownership. Leaders must own everything in their world. There is no one else to blame. And that is my best Jocko Willink impression. That's from the Extreme Ownership book. Find it on Audible. That's where I read it. Good book. Read it. Daily tip or recommendation: routine, routine, routine. This is the key to success in anything. Don't even think about the result if you haven't very carefully considered what you're going to do on a daily basis to get it. This is what I see all the time. This is not the right way to think about success. People look at people on Instagram or people with money, flashy jets, cars, whatever, and they say, oh, I want that. But they don't ask themselves, how could I get that from a realistic, practical perspective? How many hours a day could I invest? Where am I going to invest those hours? What kind of work am I going to do? Where am I going to do this work? Am I going to do it at home where I'm distracted all the time? Or am I going to go somewhere else and do it? Am I going to network and talk to people and put myself out there? Or am I expected it to come around to me? It's always going to come down to what can you do on a daily basis to achieve the things you want to achieve. So when you think about success, when you think about something you want, the only thing that matters is how are you going to put in the hours to get it? And most people focus on the end result, and they don't even fathom the fact that it might take 10 years of daily work. Daily book recommendation: The Magic of Thinking Big. This is one of Tim Ferriss's most recommended books, highly recommended. It was written in like the 60s, so it's a little dated in its verbiage and language, but it is more applicable than ever. to do big things, we have to think big things. And most of the time, if you think big enough and you maybe fall short, well, you probably still achieve something great. The whole kind of like aim for the moon and you'll reach the sky, or aim for the stars and you'll reach the moon, or whatever the saying is. It's very true. Set goals that are bigger than you think, and you'll make decisions that accomplish a lot. And whether you make it to that end goal or not, you'll at least have done a lot more than had you set, more realistic, smaller goals. Daily health tip: eat real food. The key to everything in your life from a health perspective is going to come down to what you do in the kitchen. What foods are you preparing? Are you cooking? Are you buying raw ingredients? Are you buying local? Are you buying very good stuff and then cooking it and then eating it? That's really the secret to long-term health and wellness. Are you trying to eat out of a package? Are you trying to rely on restaurant food? Are you buying cheap, processed, easy to snack on junk options? Or are you taking whole, raw, real ingredients that require preparation and then cooking them and then eating them? I mean, I just can't harp on this enough. This is the key to having the body of your dreams, the health of your dreams, and really a long, healthy freaking life. Like, it really is. It all comes down to your diet. And stress and sleep would be the next thing. Daily cooking tip. This is for steak. I break my fast with a steak every single day. When I prep ahead, I enjoy my steak more. The best way to season steak is this way. So take your steak out, remove from the package, pat it down, rub it down in salt, like a good amount. Cover the entire surface all around. Then add a little bit of avocado oil or maybe some ghee. That's not really necessary, but I like to add a little bit of oil. I just feel like it ends up being fresher and just a better season. And then put that on a rack in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours. Minimum of about 8 to 10, because it takes a while for the salt to extract moisture and then reabsorb the moisture into the meat. That's the mechanism. And this is known as pre-seasoning. And you can actually do it with any protein, like a big roast. The best way to have a flavorful big roast is to rub it down in plenty of salt and maybe like a spice rub, and then let it sit in the fridge for a couple days and then cook it. It's just a game changer. And with steak, it's no different. Daily thoughts about money. Use something like Simple, which is a free bank app thing that you can get, and use it as a budgeting tool. So what you could do is you could get a Simple card, because it's no fees and there's no overdraft fees. You can put X dollars into that account and then use that for your daily discretionary spending. And then if you go over, it will decline your transaction, but you won't get an overdraft fee. If you're a chronic overspender, this is the way you need to think about it. You need to ideally be paying attention to your budget and maybe logging into the app and seeing where you're spending your money and having different buckets and everything. Like, that's great. But if you're the type that just doesn't really do that, which is a lot of people, and they tend to just buy things, well, having a credit card is going to destroy you. So getting something like Simple, where at the very least it's going to decline the transaction, I just think that just makes so much sense. All right, so that's going to be it for today's show. Short and sweet. We hit 8.5 minutes. And you can get back to your day. I hope something in here gives you a spark of motivation or interest to pursue, to look into, or something you can take action with. That's the goal of the show, is to take action based on ideas that are not going to change. Useful, actionable tips and advice. I'm the Wild CEO, Colin Stuckert, and I'm going to see you in the next one.